Megan Dang Arrow, everyone. My name is Miguel, and I want to share with you the most unsettling yet beautiful encounter I've ever experienced. This story is about my Lola Carmen, my grandmother who raised me when my parents worked overseas. She passed away 3 years ago, but what happened last month at exactly 3 a.m. made me question everything I thought I knew about death and the other side. Before I continue, let me tell you that my Lola and I were inseparable. She taught me how to pray the rosary, how to cook her famous adobo, and most importantly, she taught me that love doesn't end when someone takes their last breath. But nothing could have prepared me for her final visit. Let me take you back to how everything was before that night. I'm a call center agent working the graveyard shift, so my sleep schedule has always been irregular. I live alone in the same house where Lola Carmen used to live, the house where she took care of me for 20 years. Every corner holds a memory, her rocking chair by the window. The kitchen, where we cooked together, the small altar she maintained with candles and images of saints. My daily routine was simple. I'd come home around 16 a.m., sleep until 2:00 a.m., spend the afternoon doing chores, and head back to work by 10:30. The house felt empty without her, but I kept everything exactly as she left it. Her reading glasses still sat on the coffee table. Her favorite blanket remained folded on the sofa. I couldn't bring myself to change anything. It was my way of keeping her close. Then, 3 weeks ago, things started to shift. It began on a Tuesday morning. I had just gotten home from my shift, exhausted and ready to collapse into bed. As I walked past Lola's old room, I caught a scent that stopped me cold, her perfume. That distinct floral fragrance she wore every single day. Sampaguita mixed with something sweet, something uniquely hers. But the bottle had been empty for years. I checked her room. Nothing was disturbed. I convinced myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on a tired mind. The next few days were quiet, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. You know that sensation when the hair on your neck stands up? When you feel a presence in an empty room? That became my constant companion. I'd catch movements in my peripheral vision, a shadow passing by the doorway, a flicker near the altar. But whenever I turned to look directly, nothing was there. Then came the knocking. The first time I heard it was exactly 1 week after I smelled her perfume. I woke up abruptly at 3 a.m., not from my alarm, but from 3 distinct knocks on my bedroom door. Tap, tap, tap. Gentle, patient, the way Lola used to knock when she'd bring me warm milk before bed. My heart was pounding as I called out, "Who is there?" Silence. I opened the door to an empty hallway. The house was completely still. I tried to go back to sleep, but the knocking returned the next night. Same time. 3 a.m. exactly. 3 knocks. This time, I noticed something else. The temperature in my room had dropped significantly. My breath formed small clouds in the air. In the Philippines, in our tropical heat, that should have been impossible. I wrapped myself in blankets, trying to rationalize what was happening. Maybe it was the air conditioning. Maybe it was stress. Maybe I was losing my mind. By the 5th night, I was terrified to go to sleep. I called my friend Sarah, told her everything. She suggested I was grieving, that my mind was creating these experiences because I missed Lola so much. But when 3 a.m. arrived that night, the knocking came again, and this time I heard her voice, soft, warm, unmistakably hers. "Apo," she called me. "Grandchild." Apo books in Moang Pinto. Opened the door. I was paralyzed with fear and longing. Every fiber of my being wanted to open that door, to see her one more time. But I was terrified of what I might find. I sat in my bed, tears streaming down my face, whispering prayers I'd learned from her. "Lola, if that's really you, please don't scare me. Please." The knocking stopped. But in the silence that followed, I heard footsteps walking away from my door, down the hallway, toward her old room. Then I heard hair, rocking chair creaking back and forth, that familiar rhythm I'd fallen asleep to countless times as a child. I knew I had to face this. I couldn't live in fear in the house where we'd shared so much love. At exactly 3:15 a.m., I gathered my courage, grabbed my rosary, and walked to her room. The door was slightly open, and a soft golden light spilled into the hallway. I pushed it open fully. There she was, sitting in a rocking chair looking exactly as I remember her, but somehow more radiant, more at peace. She smiled at me with such tenderness that all my fear evaporated. "Apo ko," she said. "Don't be afraid. I came to say goodbye properly. I never got to tell you how proud I am of you, how much I love you, and I need you to promise me something." I could barely speak through my tears. "Anything, Lola. Live your life fully. Stop keeping this house as a shrine to the past. I'm not here anymore, but I'm always with you. Move forward. love again, be happy. That's all I ever wanted for you." She stood up, walked over to me, and I felt the warmth of her presence. Even though I knew I couldn't touch her, "It's time for me to go home, Apo. My real home now, but I'll be watching over you." And then, as peacefully as she'd appeared, she faded into that golden light until I was standing alone in her empty room. Since that night, the knocking has stopped. The cold is gone. But sometimes, when I'm cooking her recipes or praying the rosary, I catch that scent of Sampaguta, and I know she's checking in on me. I've started slowly changing the house, adding my own touches, while keeping a few of her most precious items as reminders. I learned that sometimes the dead return not to haunt us, but to free us. Lola's final visit wasn't about scaring me, it was about releasing both of us from the chains of unfinished business and unspoken words. If you've lost someone you love, don't be afraid to talk to them. Tell them what you need to say, and if they visit you, even at 3 a.m., maybe it's not something to fear. Maybe it's love finding a way to cross the boundary between worlds one last time. What would you do if you heard that knock at 3 Henderson Ray? I'm Emma. Would you open the door? Share your stories with me in the comments. And say a prayer tonight for those who've gone ahead, who loved us enough to find their way back for one last goodbye.